para la presidencia. Él estaba platicando con Patrick, el que él tiene la misma posición que él para Americans for Prosperity, pero en Missouri.
But now Iowa is very, very close. We're seeing the polls tighten up. It's important for us to educate the voters on Barack Obama's failed policies.
Es muy importante que le demos la educación a nuestro público y a la gente, a nuestros ciudadanos, de que Barack Obama, las pólizas no han funcionado. Ahorita están casi pegaditos, es un empate muy serio, entonces es necesario que salgamos y hablemos. Este trabajo es muy importante.
Now, we are a nonpartisan organization, which really gives us an advantage when we talk to independent voters.
Nosotros somos una organización que no estamos afiliados a ningún partido. Eso nos da una gran ventaja con los votadores.
We're not there harping on a candidate, but we're there talking about policies, and that's what people want to hear here in Iowa, not just, you know, anti-this, anti-that. They want to hear solutions.
Sí, no quieren nada más las personas escuchar, estoy en contra de esto, en contra de lo otro. Más que nada quieren escuchar soluciones. Y entonces nosotros hablamos acerca de las diferentes soluciones y de las diferentes pólizas.
So in Iowa, what we're doing is we're doing targeted door knocking and also targeted phone calling as well.
Lo que nosotros estamos haciendo en Iowa, que Iowa es tan importante, es tocando en puertas en lugares exactos, o sea, con un blanco, ¿verdad? Que sabemos que ahí les necesitan. Y también llamadas por teléfono en lugares con un blanco.
And we're talking to people in a very concise way and approaching, or actually trying to target the Hispanic community as well.
Estamos hablando con las personas de una manera muy concisa y también estamos tratando más que nada de llegar con las comunidades hispanas, de hablar con las personas hispanas.
And this is a big passion of mine because my wife is Hispanic and unfortunately she couldn't be here today.
Esa es una gran pasión para mí, dice, porque su esposa es hispana y desafortunadamente ella no pudo estar aquí. Cuando yo le dije a mi esposo que su esposa era hispana, él dijo, pobrecita. When I told my husband that his wife was Hispanic, he said, pobrecito. I don't know what that meant.
Yo sí sé.
I love you, Mommy.
So yeah, it's a passion of mine, and I've seen in Iowa sometimes we don't really target folks of different backgrounds. And I think we've got a great opportunity in this election to try to change that tone.
Sí, es una pasión para mí, dice él, y yo veo que aquí en Iowa nunca, más bien no muy seguido, estamos poniéndole el enfoque a las personas de diversas nacionalidades, o sea, etnicidades. Entonces yo creo que es muy importante que de verdad salgamos y les demos a todos la oportunidad de saber lo que son las pólizas.
And the reality is this economy doesn't discriminate against anybody. This economy is hurting every single person here in America.
La realidad es que esta economía no discrimina contra nadie. Esta economía fallada está afectándole a todos los americanos.
And real quickly, I mean, let's think about what President Obama promised us 4 years ago. He said he was going to cut the deficit in half. Instead, it's doubled. And every year we've had a budget deficit over $1 trillion. And that's why this deficit is approaching $16.2 trillion.
Sí, desafortunadamente debemos de ver lo que el presidente Barack Obama ofreció hace 4 años. Él dijo que iba a cortar el déficit a la mitad. ¿Se dice déficit en español?
Sí,
y desafortunadamente se ha duplicado el lugar. Las cantidades que ahora estamos es 16 millones.
Mil millones.
16 trillones. Es que ni siquiera podemos decir el número, ¿no? De tan grande que está. Entonces él ha duplicado, está mucho peor de como cuando él entró a la oficina.
Hey, by the way, Zoe's doing a great job. I was over in Afghanistan about a year and a half ago and had to talk through interpreters, and you're much better.
¡Ay, qué bueno! Está echándome flores diciendo que él estuvo en Afganistán y tuvo que hablar con intérpretes y que yo estoy haciendo mejor trabajo. Es que el español es más fácil, está mucho easier, I would imagine.
And, you know, every newborn child today is going to be burdened with $50,000 worth of the national deficit.
Todos los recién nacidos que nacen hoy día nacen ya con una deuda en sus cabezas de $50,000 en el momento que nacen.
So it's not just about today, but it's about our future generations. That's why it's so important. That's why I'm so thankful to have you here in Iowa.
Estoy tan agradecido de que están ahora aquí con nosotros en Iowa, porque no se trata nada más de nosotros, sino de nuestra posteridad y las generaciones futuras.
So let's talk about what you're here for today, and that's to go to work and try to help change the dynamic here in America.
Entonces vamos a hablar acerca de qué están haciendo aquí ustedes y cómo van a trabajar para poder ayudar a hacer ese cambio en América.
So we're going to go door to door, and we're going to target some neighborhoods that've got I wouldn't say predominantly Hispanic, but definitely have Hispanic populations, but you'll see people from all different backgrounds as well.
Vamos a ir tocando puerta a puerta y nos vamos a encontrar, no voy a decir exactamente que es predominantemente hispanos, pero sí van a haber comunidades donde hay hispanos. Entonces ustedes van a tocar puertas y van a encontrarse personas de todas diferentes clases.
And we're going to target, these people have especially been hit hard by the economy, and we're going to talk to them and ask them if they feel that President Obama's policies have hurt or helped the economy.
Estas personas han sido dañadas básicamente por la economía bastante, entonces de una manera muy especial. Entonces la pregunta que les vamos a hacer es que si creen que las pólizas del presidente Barack Obama han funcionado, que si están ellos contentos con la administración de ese presidente.
And you'll be able to mark down how they answered, and we'll also be able to provide them more information about some of the talking points that I talked to you about today.
Vamos a tener la oportunidad de apuntar cómo es que contestan y también vamos a poderles decir, estos son ciertos puntos acerca de lo que estamos hablando para mejorar esta situación.
So that's very important, but also, we've got 2 15-passenger vans, so we'll also need some people to stay here and make phone calls as well.
Tenemos dos vans que pueden llevar a 15 personas a la vez. Entonces también necesitamos que algunas personas se queden aquí y lo hagan por teléfono, no tienen que caminar.
So before I hand it over to Drew to talk a little bit more about the logistics, again, I want to thank you for coming up to Iowa. We love having you here, and we know you're going to do great work.
Vuelvo a repetir antes de darle el tiempo a Drew para que él nos diga las logísticas y cómo nos vamos a ir. Yo quisiera agradecerles por venir. Estamos súper contentos de que vinieron a Iowa. Agradecemos mucho su trabajo.
Thank you very much. Drew Clyde.
Muchas gracias. Cada uno de estos paquetes representan esencialmente 3 vecindarios, 3 áreas.
There'll be a map of each of those neighborhoods and then a list of the houses that we're going to visit.
Va a haber un mapa de todas esas colonias y también vamos a tener una lista de las casas que vamos a tocar.
And so we'll have addresses, and each of those houses we're just going to ask one basic question, the one that Mark talked about. Do you think the president's policies are helping or hurting the economy?
Vamos a tocar puertas y vamos a hacer básicamente una pregunta, la pregunta que él nos mencionó, que es, ¿usted cree que las pólizas de Barack Obama nos están ayudando o nos están dañando?
And then we'll be able to mark that. You'll see right on these sheets, you'll be able to mark that right on here, and then we'll save that information so that not only do we know where people are at this year and ahead of the election, but also into the lame duck session after the election, and on every future policy battle as well.
Vamos a marcarlo aquí en estas páginas, o vamos a poder marcar la respuesta, no solamente para saber y tocar el pulso de cómo va la elección ahorita, pero esto nos va a servir muchísimo, porque adelante, mirando después de lo que le llaman el pato sentado, donde no hace nadie nada en el Congreso o en el Senado, pero también vamos a ver cómo va siguiendo el futuro de esta elección y de cómo afecta las pólizas ahorita.
Sure. So what we'll do is we'll go in groups of 2, or if take the little kids with you as well, and then we'll give each group one set of these, and we'll drop you off, and then we'll pick you up at the last house in the packet as well.
Entonces lo que vamos a hacer, nos vamos a ir en grupos de 2. Claro que los padres de familia se lleven a sus niños, y lo que queremos hacer es, los vamos a dejar, van a tocar puertas y los vamos a recoger al final de esa puerta. Entonces digo, de esa colonia, de esa hoja que les den.
Very good. So if we go ahead and split into those groups, and then we'll have everybody sign up on a form here, and then I'll get you a backpack that has our literature in it as well.
Dice, entonces lo que necesitamos es que cada quien firme aquí y que se pongan, que vayan con él, y él les va a dar una mochila con toda la literatura, con todas las cosas que tienen la información de.
Are they going to be in English and Spanish?
Phone calls?
Phone calls?
We can do either one.
Okay.
Cualquiera de los dos.
Okay.
¿Quién quiere estar en okay, so, una, ¿quién más quiere quedarse aquí?
Hey, Zoe, we will need some phone calls because of the
Sí, porque no tenemos mucho espacio en las camionetas, necesitamos algunas personas que no quieren empezar a caminar. Y tal vez podemos voltear, o sea, algunas personas pueden quedarse aquí y hacer llamadas y después cambiar. Maybe we'll be able to switch and have somebody make phone calls and others finish that, or does that work? Or there's no time?
We're pretty short on time.
O es que no tenemos mucho tiempo. Fiesta, not fiesta.
Nice to see through the clouds today.
I know, I'm glad that sun came out. Not for your purposes, but...
What do we do after the election to get some consensus on what kind of immigration reform we want?
Well, I believe that Governor Romney is a brilliant man, and he has an idea of what could and should happen that would benefit all parties. He's talked about the fact that, first of all, Latin America needs to have jobs growing so that the people in Latin America do not have the necessity to come to the United States. I know that he has a really good vision. He can't help anything with their government, obviously, but he has a very good vision of what he can do to help them, empowering them to be able to grow their economy, to start new businesses. I think that would help, of course, with people wanting to come. Most of the people don't want to come to the United States. They want to be, I mean, it's not that they don't want to come and visit, but they want to be in their own countries with their traditions, with their language, with their families, but the necessity of sometimes governments that are not so wonderful as ours, or because, they're in poverty, they find themselves having to come to the United States. And so I believe that Governor Romney will be able to work something with Latin America, first of all. Second of all, he has said that he believes that the immigration department is broken, like many other agencies in Washington. And he's talked about, putting it back together right. Maybe dismantling certain parts, getting rid of some waste, some bureaucratic, entanglement. And if it was just another politician saying that, I would then think, well, of course, it's just a politician making those promises that they can keep. But this man is uniquely qualified. He has done this. He did it with Domino's Pizza. He did it with, I think, Staples, Brookstone, a few other companies, and he did it with the Olympics. So I believe that he probably will be able to do that, to create a better, more efficient immigration department, so that those who want to be legal and come to the United States will be able to do so. And then the third part of it, I think that he will know how to surround himself with both Hispanic and non-Hispanics that are familiar with the immigration entanglement, with the immigration process. He's talked about the fact that this is a nation of immigrants, and we want immigrants from all over the world that will be contributing members of our society. We welcome them. That's what the Statue of Liberty is all about. And I think that the current administration has been a lot of talk. There's a saying in my mom's background in Mexico. She says it's called atole con el dedo, which means just a little taste of candy with your finger, or a little taste of something delicious with a finger. Meaning that this administration, this president, didn't do anything with the DREAM Act, for example. And he had a full House, and he had 66 senators. So he could have done something. Had he wished to move on the DREAM Act, he could have done something. But I think he just used it as a political chip when it was appropriate, when it was convenient for him. And all of a sudden he said, children from the ages of 30 and below. I got a couple phone calls from my kids saying, see, I'm still a child. But anyway, and we believe very strongly that there are people, there are children, and there are grown-ups that were brought to this country, by their parents, and they, no fault of their own. And we should do it legally. Not just all of a sudden a political whim for the current administration, for this president, because he wanted to get the Hispanic vote, the very crucial Hispanic vote.
You have to leave now?
Well, we can, yeah. Do you want to come with
Do I
us?
have time for another question? Or
Yes, sir. I'll make it shorter.
For example, H-1B visas, Romney sees the appreciation of the talents that those immigrants bring, but and that's great. That's something that's more than we've had. But he says nothing about low-skilled. And my thought is that we need, if we could get more low-skilled immigrants, factories wouldn't have to leave America in order to hire them. But that's the kind of thing where I guess he's not saying anything about it because he's got so many loud, uneducated Republicans to deal with that would go ballistic if he said everything. So, in other words, it seems to me that it's important for immigrants who care to start talking about all the details of an immigration policy and creating consensus and understanding about the details so that he doesn't have to start from scratch and argue each little point.
Right. And I think that's where his skill of being able to listen to the right people comes. When he was governor of Massachusetts, he was a Republican working on a very large Democrat. Okay. I need you to get my laptop, please, if you don't mind, because we need to take it. Can you grab it?
No, you carry it?
Well,
What do you need it for? No, baby.
I got to put the program together. Okay.
You can't do it.
Okay. I'm sorry. So Governor Romney, I think, has the right attitude, the right vision, and the right skills to be able to, you know, he went across the aisle with the Massachusetts and got a lot of things done and taken care of. And I think he'll be able to do that. He'll surround himself, I think, with the right people.
The last shall be first, and those who have come here. I came here, my family came here in the 1850s from Ireland, but we worked our way up. We got our educations, and now we're more prosperous, more productive people. But I ask all of the people who are here from these countries, whether it's Southeast Asia, Africa, or Latin America, I'm saying you have chosen once to... Governments were destroying your lives, your families, and your businesses. And you have come to a country where the government is now threatening to destroy our lives, our families, and our businesses. And we are asking you to work with us, vote with us, turn out, and take our country back. Because the stronger you are as individuals, as families, and as businesses, the stronger America will be and the safer the world will be for everyone. Now, God bless all of you, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate you coming and supporting us and welcoming us. I love the fact that he said that we are making such a difference. I know that as everybody knocked on doors or made phone calls today, I know that you felt a little bit of pride and felt a little bit of joy that we made the trip to a swing state that is so important with such an important, crucial election. And although some of us got frustrated, I know my husband was very proud of me because I didn't hit anybody or shook anybody, but he was very impressed with the fact that there were several that were still undecided, and hopefully we'll be able to make a difference. I'd like to invite, I think we're going to be ready to eat in just a little bit. As soon as they put out the food, you're more than welcome to eat, and maybe we can announce it. But I'd like to invite those who are going to be speaking to us to start, because I want to get this going. We need to get back on the bus and get back home. But I'd like to first of all tell you that I didn't have access to my laptop and I couldn't find the printed program that I had written. I think some of you have become familiar with a couple of the speakers that came in the bus. I'm going to introduce the first one. I don't know if Mr. Kemp and Mr. Kemp are ready. I know that we have an amazing pastor here with us tonight that came from Cuba, from communist Castro regime Cuba, and I'd like to invite him to be first if that's okay. He is a brave man who has suffered a lot and was imprisoned in Cuba in a horrific prison for speaking about Jesus Christ. And that is the most amazing thing about our country, that we have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and we want to preserve that. And if I could invite Pastor Cabrera, is he here? I don't see him, but I'm sure he's here.
Just stood up.
Oh, there he is, I'm sorry. Anyway, Pastor Cabrera, if he can come and he can give us a few words and teach us a few things from his life experiences, please give him a big round of applause. Pastor Leonardo Cabrera.
bless you.
I thought I was going to get to sit down, but I will be happy to translate.
Ya, Dios bendiga a todos en esta noche.
Everybody, he is sending a blessing to you. May God bless you all.
De lo que le voy a estar hablando
What I'm going to be talking to you.
Microwave for them. That cord will reach clear over here. The microphone? Yeah, there's a cord. The microphone can come out of here. Can you hook it up here? Should we do that? Yeah. Let's hook it up here. Looks like you got 10 feet of buffer space.
Okay. This is fantastic.
de lo que le voy a estar hablando en esta noche
What I'm going to be talking to you about tonight
ha sucedido muy cerca de aquí de Norteamérica.
happened very closely to here, to the United States.
En este mismo hemisferio,
In this same hemisphere,
a 90 millas de las costas de Estados Unidos.
only 90 miles to the coast of the United States.
Aunque para algunos parezca increíble,
Even if it seems incredible to some of you,
a 90 millas una nación fue oprimida por el comunismo.
90 miles away from here, a nation was oppressed by communism.
Quizás la nueva generación no conozca ni la palabra comunista,
Maybe the new generation, the younger generation, does not know what the word communism is,
porque acabó la Guerra Fría.
because the Cold War is over.
Pero en estos mismos momentos,
But in this exact time,
en esta misma nación,
in this same nation,
mucha gente está sufriendo
a lot of people are suffering
en las cárceles de Castro.
in those jails of Castro's prisons.
Mi testimonio comienza en el año 85,
My testimony begins in 1985,
cuando me convertí al cristianismo.
when I became a Christian, when I was converted.
En una ciudad de 7,000 habitantes,
In a city where there were 7,000 people,
quedaron solamente 2 familias de cristianos.
there were only left 2 Christian families.
Cuando Fidel Castro llegó al poder en el 59,
When Fidel Castro came to power in 1959,
muchos cristianos tuvieron que abandonar la isla.
a lot of Christians had to leave the island,
A otros les quitaron las iglesias.
and others lost their churches.
Y en mi ciudad,
In my city,
2 familias mantuvieron su hogar abierto.
2 families kept their home open.
Y cuando me convertí al cristianismo a través de esta familia,
And when I became a Christian through this family,
el gobierno desató una persecución hacia mi persona.
the government opened a persecution to myself.
Cuando conocí a Jesucristo,
When I got to know Jesus Christ,
impactó tanto mi vida
it impacted my life so much.
y yo dije, este es mi líder.
I said, this is my leader.
Anteriormente
Before that,
había seguido a Che Guevara,
I followed Che Guevara,
a Carlos
Marx,
Fidel Castro,
Fidel Castro.
pero ahora que conocí a Jesucristo,
But now that I've met Jesus Christ,
sentí que me había llenado, que este sí era mi líder.
I felt that He had filled my heart and this was my leader.
Y no sabía por qué me perseguían.
And I didn't understand why they were persecuting me.
No sabía por qué los comunistas no querían el cristianismo.
I didn't understand why the communists didn't want
Lo
Christianity.
cierto es que muchos jóvenes me siguieron y llegaron hasta este lugar.
The truth is that a lot of youth followed me and they came to this place.
Me dieron el destierro de mi ciudad
They kicked me out of my country,
por
out
un
of my
año.
city,
Por un año.
for 1 year.
Después de un año regresé
After 1 year, they allowed me to come back to my
y
city,
seguí predicando de Jesucristo.
and I continued to preach about Jesus Christ.
Y en el año 93
In 1993,
los comunistas me llevan a la cárcel de nuevo.
the communists take me to the prison again.
Me tuvieron 90 días en una cárcel,
They had me 90 days in this prison,
pero seguí predicando de Jesucristo.
but I continued to preach about Jesus Christ.
Entonces me pidieron 10 años de cárcel.
Then they sentenced me to 10 years of prison.
Y ahora me envían a una prisión de máxima
And
seguridad.
now they send me to a maximum security prison.
Ahí seguí hablando de
And
Jesucristo.
I continue to talk about Jesus Christ even in the prison.
Y de una condena de 8 años de cárcel,
And they gave me a sentence of 8 years of prison.
En el año 98
In 1998,
llegó el Papa Juan Pablo II a Cuba
Pope John Paul II came to Cuba
e intercedió por los prisioneros políticos ante el gobierno de Fidel.
to intercede for those prisoners that were political prisoners from Fidel Castro.
Y salimos de libertad.
And so then I was allowed to be free.
Y esta tierra de libertad nos ofreció refugio.
And this amazing free country of freedom, offered us some refuge.
Aquí hemos seguido predicando de Jesucristo
Here I can continue to preach about Jesus Christ.
y me siento comprometido con esta nación.
And I feel very indebted to this nation.
Amo esta tierra de
I
libertad.
love this country of freedom.
Pero hace unos años,
But just a few years,
cuando las elecciones entre que Al Gore era el candidato presidencial
in the elections when Al Gore was the presidential candidate,
yo me asusté
it frightened me.
cuando escuchaba la política de Al Gore.
Whenever I heard Al Gore's politics,
A mí me sonaba comunismo
it sounded very familiar, like communism.
y le dije a un amigo mío americano,
I told an American friend of mine,
digo, yo estoy asustado y pienso irme de América.
I'm very scared and I think I might probably should leave America.
Me da la impresión que el comunismo está llegando a este país.
I have the impression that communism is coming to this country.
Y él me preguntó, ¿a dónde vas?
And he asked me, where would you go?
Digo, pensé irme a Australia.
I thought maybe Australia.
Y él me dice, no, Norteamérica es el último refugio.
No, he said, North America is the last refuge for our freedom.
Dios te ha traído aquí para orar por este país.
God has brought you here so you can pray for this country.
Y una vez más entendí mi responsabilidad con esta nación.
And once again, I understood my responsibility to this nation.
Quizás muchos americanos no se hayan dado de cuenta
Maybe a lot of Americans haven't noticed
cómo se va perdiendo la libertad en este país.
how one can lose their freedom in this country.
Una nación con principios y valores cristianos
A nation with principles and values that are based on Christ
se ha visto invadida por una cantidad de leyes
has been invaded by a lot of laws
que atentan contra los principios morales y los principios cristianos.
that are going against the values and the morals of principles that are Christian.
Y he venido hablando en estos días
I have been talking about this in the last few days,
que Norteamérica es fuerte
that the United States of America is very strong
porque ha caminado de la mano de Dios.
because it has walked hand in hand with God.
Si la nación se aleja de los principios morales,
If this nation goes far away from those moral principles,
está en peligro la libertad de la nación.
the freedom of this nation is in grave danger.
Está en peligro la libertad cristiana.
The freedom of Christianity is very much it's also in grave danger.
Y nosotros los cristianos
We the Christians
tenemos que acercarnos
have to get
o
closer
dar nuestro voto
or give our vote
al candidato que más se acerque a los principios morales y a los principios de Dios.
to that candidate which draws nearer to those moral principles and to those principles of God.
¿Cómo es probable
How is it probable
que una nación llamada cristiana
that a nation that was founded on Christianity and named Christian,
escuchemos que pasan leyes de aprobación al aborto?
can listen and hear that they are passing laws approving abortions, for example.
Una nación llamada cristiana,
A nation calling itself Christian
veamos aprobar ante nuestros ojos leyes entre matrimonios del mismo sexo.
can see and withstand watching before our own eyes laws passing same-sex marriage.
Eso es peligroso.
That is dangerous.
En la antigüedad,
A long time ago in ancient,
cuando el Imperio Romano
when the Roman Empire
cayó en la inmoralidad desmedida,
fell down in the immorality,
desapareció.
it disappeared.
El Imperio Griego,
That Greek Empire,
cuando cayó en la inmoralidad
when it
desmedida,
fell in
desapareció.
immorality, it disappeared.
Norteamérica ha sido fuerte.
The United States of America has been
Los
strong.
primeros hombres que llegaron a
The
este país,
first men that came to this country,
que llegaron de Europa,
that came from Europe,
eran hombres que amaban a Dios.
were men that loved God.
Levantaron la bandera del cristianismo en
They
esta nación.
raised the flag of Christianity in this nation.
Y Dios prosperó grandemente en
And it
Norteamérica.
prospered, and it prospered immensely in
La
North
prosperidad
America.
que tenemos en
The
Norteamérica,
prosperity that we have in the United States of
esa viene de
America
Dios.
only comes from God.
Porque en América ha sido una nación de cristianos.
Because the United States of America has been a Christian nation.
Ha apoyado misiones en diferentes partes del mundo.
It has supported and sponsored Christian missions all over the world.
En nuestro país
In our country,
conocieron de Jesucristo
people learned about Jesus
a
Christ
través de los misioneros que salieron
because
de
of the
aquí.
Christian missionaries from the United States.
Norteamérica ha enviado
The
misioneros a
United
todas partes
States
del
has
mundo.
sent missionaries all over the world.
Y es una de las causas también por la que Dios ha bendecido a
And that is one
Norteamérica.
of the causes and one of the reasons why Heavenly Father has blessed the United States of America.
Cuando veo a nuestro presidente en este momento
When I see our president, our president,
que se
current
quita
president,
los zapatos para entrar en una mezquita de los musulmanes,
that takes off his shoes to go into a mosque, Muslim mosque.
no es que no ame a los musulmanes,
It's not that I don't love Muslim people,
como también amo a los comunistas,
just like I love the communists.
pero sé que ellos no nos aman a nosotros,
But I know that they don't love us,
ni aman a Jesucristo.
and they don't love Jesus Christ.
Y cuando veo que las leyes morales están en un deterioro,
And when I see that the moral laws are deteriorating,
digo, los cristianos en América,
I think the Christians in America,
los latinos que hemos llegado a este país,
the Latin people that have arrived in this country,
que hemos amado esta nación, que amamos a Jesucristo,
that love this nation and love Jesus Christ,
no podemos ignorar la
cannot
responsabilidad que
ignore the
tenemos.
responsibility that we have.
Quizás para algunos de nosotros se nos hace más fácil ver
Perhaps for some of us it is easier to notice and to see and to recognize
cómo está llegando a este país
how it is arriving in this country,
leyes que se acercan al socialismo y al comunismo.
laws that get nearer and nearer to socialism and thereby also communism.
Yo como cristiano
Myself as a Christian
no quiero eso para esta
do
nación.
not want that for this country.
Yo amo América
I love the United States
y
of
deseo que
America,
América siga siendo fuerte,
and I want America to continue to be
que
strong,
sigamos teniendo libertad
that we may continue to
religiosa
have freedom of religion,
y que esta nación siga prosperando.
and that this country may continue to prosper.
Los exhorto a ustedes
I admonish you all
que nos unamos en oración por estas elecciones.
that we unite in prayer for this election.
Dios nos bendiga a todos.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Gracias. Le puedo hacer algunas preguntas, pero no antes de que se me vaya, se me ocurrió. I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions before he leaves. And that is, because we have not lived in a communist country, because we don't recognize, like you said, there's another lady here that, Julia McQueen, who has lived in a kind of a communist type of regime. What do we need to do to recognize it? ¿Qué es lo que nosotros debemos de hacer para reconocer lo que es el comunismo? Porque nosotros no sabemos qué es eso. O sea, ¿cómo es que usted lo reconoce y lo puede ver?
Una de las maneras
One of the ways
en que actúan los comunistas
that the communists act
es a base de la mentira.
is by lying.
Yo recuerdo en la campaña presidencial de Obama,
I remember on Obama's presidential
él
election
decía, vamos a unificar el país.
that he kept saying, we're going to unite the country.
Y se ha desunido el país.
And this is the most divided the country has ever been.
Decía, vamos a salvar la economía.
He used to say, we're going to save the economy.
Y yo veo que la economía se ha hundido más.
And I see that the economy is the worst that it's ever been.
Yo recuerdo cuando llegué a este país,
I remember when I came to this country,
que el gobierno de esta nación
that the government of this nation,
por 8 meses me dio un plan de ayuda.
for 8 months, helped me.
Y cuando yo llevaba un mes,
And when I had been here for a month,
yo fui a buscar trabajo
I went to look for a job.
y le dije, suspéndame la ayuda.
And I said, please suspend my assistance, my government assistance.
Cuando yo iba a comprar con una tarjeta de comida con un food stamp,
when I would go to the store to buy with food stamps,
con un dinero que no es mío,
with money that wasn't mine,
que no había trabajado,
that I hadn't worked to earn,
yo me sentía que estaba robando.
I would feel that I was stealing.
Y digo, yo vengo de un país donde el gobierno lo controla todo.
I would remember that I came from a country where the government controls everything.
Yo no quiero que el gobierno me lo dé todo a mí.
I don't want the government to give me everything.
Yo vine a una sociedad libre.
I came to a free society.
Yo puedo trabajar.
I can work.
Hoy en día veo tantos jóvenes
I see so many young people today
viviendo de la ayuda del gobierno.
living off of government assistance.
Recientemente en el barrio donde vivo en Kansas,
Recently, in the neighborhood where I live in Kansas,
veo que están repartiendo teléfonos celulares.
I see that they're giving away cell phones.
Y voy y pregunto,
And I go and I ask.
y todo lo que se necesitaba que llevara el food stamp.
The only thing that you needed to do to the food stamp,
Y la pregunta que me he hecho,
and the question is,
¿de dónde sale este dinero para pagar todo esto?
where's all this money coming out? Why are they giving all these people that are on food stamps cell phones? Where's the money coming from?
Porque vi mucha gente joven
Because I saw a lot of youth
recibiendo de estos teléfonos.
receiving these phones.
Y esto a mí me parece un poco comunismo.
And this reminds me a little bit of communism. Otra pregunta que yo tengo para usted, ¿el Partido Demócrata o el Partido Republicano se acerca más al comunismo? I just ask, does the Democrat Party, does the Republican Party, are any of them closer to communism?
Yo recuerdo cuando estaba en mi país
I remember when I was in my country,
que llegaban los demócratas al poder,
that the Democrats would get to the power here in the United States,
los comunistas están de fiesta.
and the communists would party and celebrate.
Pero cuando hay un gobierno republicano
But when
aquí,
there was a Republican in power here in the United States,
los comunistas temblaban
the communists would shake,
y había menos represión en nuestro país.
and there was less repression in our country.
Y creo que es una de las causas
And I believe that that's the cause
en la ciudad de Miami.
that the city of Miami,
Casi todos los cubanos somos republicanos,
all of the Republicans, all of the Cuban people are Republican,
porque el Partido Republicano
because the Republican Party
ha apoyado más la causa de la libertad
supports a lot more the freedom cause
en todas partes del mundo.
in all of the world. Sí, muchísimas gracias. Muchísimas gracias. It's interesting because those are things that we wouldn't know, that we wouldn't see. So again, thank you so much for doing what you've done today. Thank you so much for the sacrifice of traveling all the way here to make a difference. I think that the food is ready. Is the food ready? And so if you'd like to start making a line and start eating, I would like, maybe we can start with the farthest table to the right, and then, and then start going that way. It doesn't matter. Just go ahead and eat. Can I have Mr. Al Kemp come and talk to us while we're eating? If that's okay, would that be a problem? I'm sorry, I'm taking you away. We have two amazing brothers. This mother that gave birth to these two amazing brothers definitely deserves a lot of credit, because from the same home to have two brilliant men who have served their country, they both have been colonels in the Army, they're both retired, and to have them be such amazing contributing members of society. Again, I don't have my notes and I cannot tell you. I wish I could do an amazing introduction. I know that both of them are incredibly qualified, but I'm going to ask them to not be modest and not be shy, and give us a little bit of information of your background, please. This is Mr. Al Kemp, and he came from Missouri. He is many generations Missourian, loves his state, but yet came to Iowa to help our cause. Mr. Al Kemp. Give him a hand, please.
Stay close here. I might need a few words. Oh, okay. George's got a few to spare.
I heard that right.
Mis queridos hermanos, Es un gran placer para mí estar con ustedes hoy. My dear friends, it's a great pleasure to be with you here today. Okay. It's true, I certainly love Missouri, es verdad. A mí me gusta muchísimo a Missouri, pero Kevin McLaughlin, I was visiting with him. I was so pleased that Governor Branstad, es un placer para mí que Gobernador Branstad.
Permítame un segundo, déjame preguntar, ¿cuántas personas aquí nada más hablan español? How many people here only speak Spanish?
Me.
So most of everybody speaks English? We're going to save you. You can speak in English, but if there's a question, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have a question and you need translation. I know Pastor Cabrera might need some translation. Please be comfortable and tell us your message.
Okay, it'll be a little easier to speak in English. Thank you. It was a pleasure to visit with Mr. McLaughlin. And I was pleased to learn about Governor Branstad. And, he was one of my dear friends. I used to run Health and Human Services for the federal government during the Reagan administration. I was the regional director, Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska. Spent a lot of time in Iowa and worked with Governor Ray and Governor Branstad in the legislature and so forth. I was certainly inspired by the pastor, Leonardo Cabrera, and certainly say amen to the comments that he has provided for it. What an inspiration. And it's to me, it's quite a change from Che Guevara to Jesucristo. And for that, we're certainly grateful. But this country does have problems. I've been following government now for about 40 years, and I've never seen. I used to say that I had a friend who was Jimmy Carter's health advisor, and so he had all kinds of stories to tell me, and I came to the conclusion that Jimmy Carter was probably the most inept of all of the presidents that we've had during the 20th and 21st century that I've been following politics. And I also worked in Texas, and I found that, in my opinion, Lyndon B. Johnson was probably the most corrupt. But there is no doubt in my mind, as I assess this particular administration, that they are both the most inept and the most corrupt that I have seen ever. I think we're certainly at a precipice, at a cliff. I think the financial side, and I did study advanced international economics and comparative health systems throughout the world during my war college in D.C. for a year, and postgraduate work. And I think we're in I think if China and the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, call in their markers, call in their dollars, or the loans that they have given us, I think our dollar will drop somewhere between 30 to 40% once that happens. And we're really close to that precipice, and I've never seen anything like this economically. The Fed just continues to print money. The administration endorses it. The Senate can't have a budget, can't keep a budget. Everything's out of control, and it's just spend, spend, spend. And the dollar will continue to get weaker. I don't know how they can continue to do 2-3%. Taxpayers at some point will end up bailing out the and it'll take certainly the money from our children and grandchildren. But anyway, let me just speak for a moment on Obamacare. Running Health and Human Services, being the top federal health person in the Midwest, social service, human service, mental health, having about 36% of the federal budget. When I ran Health and Human Services and worked for 4 secretaries in Washington, this is an unbelievable conglomeration of a healthcare recipe. It's just unbelievable. It's not going to work. It won't work. It's already been increased. The projections now have been increased 3-fold from when the president initially said that what the cost would be, and we haven't even fully started Obamacare. So I think it's a cruel tax. I think it's a very terrible prescription for an indictment on the healthcare system, and it will not serve us well. So we certainly stand behind Mitt Romney in his efforts to overturn it. And they keep saying it's the same as Massachusetts. It's absolutely not the same. There's so much difference between the two of them. The only place that this has worked in the world is in Taiwan. Taiwan's the only place that universal health care has worked, and that's because there's been a public-private sector partnership. Business has put up some of the money, and the other half has come from the government, and it's a small island, and they're able to look at the particular differences of the various populations to give a very good health care system, and that's what they have in Taiwan. It is very expensive, but Canada is not, England is not, the Scandinavian countries are not, and even Hollywood says that Cuba has a great healthcare system. Sean Penn and some of his friends, I've heard that a number of times. They have one state-of-the-art hospital. That's mainly for the Communist Party and for the news people that come down and the people that they show, and that's all they have. And it's third world medicine other than that, and healthcare other than that. Well, anyway, I was really impressed with Leonardo Cabrera. I think that he inspired me, and I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to thank Zoe Gilbert. I think she's a super organizer and quite a speaker and a translator, and if I had her enthusiasm, I'd have probably been governor of Missouri. So, congratulations to you, and thank you for all that you do. I want to thank each of you. I feel like coming up on the bus that this has been just a wonderful experience. I want to thank you for the friendships that we've made so far, and look forward to working with you in the future. I just want to close with, and I'd like the pastor's comment on prayer, and I think that's important that we all exercise faith and prayer on behalf of our country and our leaders and so forth. But John Ashcroft, who was Attorney General of the United States, I used to work very closely with him. He used to say, and I'll repeat, the 10 most important 2-letter words in the English language. And I think the 10 most important 2-letter words in the English language are, if it is to be, it is up to me. So thanks for all that you're doing, and may our Heavenly Father bless you, is my humble prayer. Thank you.
Decided that he was going to do an executive decision, is that how you say it? That we were too far away. Had I known, we would have gotten a smaller, more cozier room. But I don't want to interrupt everybody from eating. Please continue to eat. I think that you're enjoying, I believe that we're all enjoying eating and listening to inspiring talks. And we'd like to invite Mr. Terry Kemp to come up here and give us a few words. This man is also as amazing as our last two speakers. This man has served in so many important capacities. I'm going to make him tell you his resume again because I don't have the information with me. I wish I did. But he has served in so many nationally important positions. He knows what he's talking about. He has seen this country from the inside of Washington, from the White House. And so we would like to invite, please, Mr. Terry Kemp, give us some of your words, some of your wisdom, and help us and guide us. He's a man of service. He has served for his church for many, many years, unpaid. And I think that says a lot for a human being, somebody that has given of their time and their service to others. Please give him a big round of applause, Mr. Al Kemp. Terry Kemp. Terry Kemp.
De los países de América Latina. Y también a Brasil, que sería 19. Pero es un gran placer para mí de estar aquí. Quizás por causa que todos entienden inglés, yo voy a cambiar, voy a hablar en inglés y explicar algunas cosas, o si algunos necesitan que yo hablo en inglés y después en español, entonces se puede levantar la mano. Si es necesario eso, no es necesario. Ok, muy bien, voy a cambiar a inglés entonces. Bueno, como as I was saying, I have been privileged to live for many years in Latin America. Right now I'm living in Utah, and I'm only here for two reasons. One reason was that my father had passed away. He was nearly 89 years old. He passed away, and I was born and raised here, in St. Louis, Missouri. And I went to high school, went in my first year of college in St. Louis, and after that I was asked to serve as a missionary for a church for a little over 2 years, and that was during the time that I spent a year in Bolivia and a year in Peru, and 4 months in Chile as part of this time that I was there. And then after completing my education, and I went 4 years to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah, and then I went 3 years to law school at the University of Utah and became an attorney, and I had a military obligation, and so I did that by requesting that I could go to a Spanish-speaking country and with the military, with the U.S. Army, and they sent me to Panama for my 3-year commitment, and I enjoyed very much in Panama. And then following that, I spent 2 more years in the military on active duty, and then I decided to leave the military and take a job with the Panama Canal. And I spent many years in Panama with the Panama Canal and also with the U.S. Southern Command. And some of the things that I did there was to represent the U.S. government, especially in the treaty when we turned over the Panama Canal to the Panamanian government. And I might add that I think the turnover was very smooth. I probably was not in favor of the treaty when it was signed, and it was signed under the Carter administration. But my job was to help implement and transfer property and to handle all the legal issues involved with the government of Panama. Unfortunately, during the time that I was working there appeared on the scene in Panama a dictator by the name of Manuel Noriega. And I'm sure many of you have heard of him. And I remember when my children were younger that he would come to various activities that the U.S. government would have, including the Scout-A-Rama. I have 5 sons, and all of them became Eagle Scouts. And I remember meeting him on various occasions, but slowly he changed. He became involved with drugs at first, and then he changed to a little bit the type of government that were trying to establish here in the United States. He felt that the government should control everything. And he began to take over the businesses and take over responsibility for a lot of the government things. And pretty soon the people's freedoms were lost, and it became a very difficult situation for families that were there. At the time I had 7 children, and we were there, and they had sent many of the families out of Panama because of the persecution. They had to cancel church many times. They canceled part of the school year just because of the problems that this dictator had caused by taking control of the government. And I tell you that story because I feel like this election is very important. I think that Obama and his upbringing and the things that he has learned from his father, his grandfather, and others, that he has this idea that government should control everything. And I feel that if we let that happen, we will lose control of our country. And if he gains this election and becomes president for a second term, he'll be answerable to no one, because he won't be able to run again. And just like he has done so many executive orders, which I feel like are illegal, and I wish that the House of Representatives, that's controlled by the Republicans, would do more to bring him to answer for some of these executive orders that he has imposed that go against what has been passed by the Congress as far as laws. But I think it's really important that each of us get involved and that we try to help. And I'm so grateful for all of those, the 48 people that came with me on the bus today, and for the great organization that Zoe did to organize this, and to have this privilege too to go door to door and to talk to people today and to hear their views. And I will say that the majority that my brother and I met with as we knocked on doors felt that our economy is not better and that we need to make changes. And I think if we continue to get the word out, that we will be successful in having Mitt Romney elected as the next president of the United States. And I'm grateful for the opportunity I've had. As I mentioned, I had 2 reasons for coming here. One, to Missouri, was to help to handle the affairs of my father's home, but also to work. And I've been down to the call center, and I'm planning to be down there on Monday again and Tuesday, and I'm only leaving to go back on Wednesday to Utah because I have 7 or 8 grandchildren that want to see me for Halloween. But if it weren't for that, I'd probably be here longer. But I plan to do what I can there in Utah. I know that they go over to Nevada, which is also a swing state, and I've also been involved a little bit with the people in Utah for Mitt Romney. And I'm willing to volunteer my services to help in any way I can. Zoe mentioned that I've spent quite a bit of time with our church. I was asked to be in charge of a mission back in 1996 for 3 years, and then they asked me to go back to Chile in 2010, and I was there for 2 years and was in charge of the missionary training center in Santiago, Chile. And these experiences of being involved with church and religion and church work and providing service, because many of you know that the missionary program of our church does not, you don't receive any salary for that. It's a service that you give. And I'm grateful for the opportunity I've been privileged to have to provide this service. I've tried to do what I could. We have 8 children. We have 5 boys and 3 girls, and we have 7 of the 8 have their college degrees now, and the 8th one is in school right now and just needs a couple more years to finish. But I think it's so important that we help our children, and I see these families that have brought their children here. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful for the example that you're showing to your children, because I think this is where it's at to pass this on to the next generation. But I want to thank you and thank you for the opportunity I had to speak, and I probably didn't tell you everything, but I think I've talked enough, and I'm grateful for the privilege of being with each one of you. And do what you can over the next 2 weeks to make sure that Mitt Romney becomes the next president of the United States. Thank you.
Mr. Alcamp is being very, very modest.
Terry. I know, I'm sorry. Mr. Terry Camp has been, well, they're both very modest. Mr. Terry Camp has served, tell me that wonderful award. Come on, just tell me that wonderful award that you got with the Department of Defense? Department of Defense. What was the title? You were honored with, he doesn't even remember his own title because he's had so many. He's had so many.
It was almost the equivalent of a Legion of Merit with the military, but it was an award that I got for the service that I gave. An award for service to the Defense Department. I mean, he's not even telling me, see? I have seen his resume and it's unbelievable. Thank you so very much. Can we thank him with a big round of applause for his sacrifice and his time for the 25 years plus? Thank you so much. Everybody continue to enjoy your dinner. Thank you again for being here with us. We're going to listen to some fun music. The music you're going to listen to is Los Amancay. They're an Argentine musical group that came to Missouri, and they wanted so badly to travel with us, but their flight left 2 days ago from Miami, so we missed them, just barely missed them. But they gave me the CD, and it's music from the Latin American, from all over Latin America. And so enjoy the music and enjoy your meal. Let's check the time. It is 6:39. If we can leave here at 7, I think that'd probably be pushing us to get home about 1 in the morning, but we can sleep in the bus. Those of you who are not coming with us in the bus, I wish we could kidnap. I see a beautiful group right here that I haven't met. But if you have any questions, please come to us. Let's exchange cards, phone numbers. Let's stay in touch. We are a group of brothers and sisters of the United States of America fighting for our freedom, fighting for our nation, fighting for our rights. And I'm so grateful that I have all of this example in front of me. Thank you very much, and God bless you. God bless America.
You guys stay control. Oh, that's a beautiful picture.
Sorry.
Okay. Anybody else that's got a picture from here? Don't you leave nothing back. Okay, here we go.
We want Zoe. We need in the middle.
I see a hole right here. Right here. Ta-da! Perfect.
We need you.
Coming. Eso. Las del Perú. Ven aquí, hermana. Ven aquí en el frente. There you go. You shoot away. Go, Rod, why aren't you in the picture?
I'm taking the picture.
Oh, then here, don't lie to me. Here's my camera.
I'll take it for you.
There's too many of you not in the picture. Get in here.
We're not women for men.
His dad is for Romney.
My marriage.
That's right. Oh my gosh, come on, Miss Ann Farnsworth, get in here. You get in the picture. What are you doing, young man? We need the good-looking guys over here. Come on. Picture, please. Get in the picture. Smile big. Come on, get in the picture. How about Rod? Right there. Get it. Get. Right there. Get it. Down. There you go. Rod, I'll take it. Yeah, there you go. Excellent.
My eyes are burning.
No.